My 28F, husband, 30M, ate my hospital food. I'm thinking of filing for divorce. I, 28F, was diagnosed 2 months ago with chondrosarcoma. The tumor was in my knee and had spread to my femur, so I needed major surgery. My femur was removed and replaced with a metal implant. It was an 8-hour surgery, followed by at least 5 days in the hospital and months of recovery. Life-changing, terrifying, and something I knew I couldn't get through without real support. My husband, 30M, and I got married young, at 23. On paper, he's a good one. Stable job, doesn't drink, clean, buys me flowers, polite, reliable. My mom always told me to count my blessings. But there have always been cracks. I brushed them off as normal relationship issues and told myself no one is perfect. When I was diagnosed, I quickly realized who my real support system was. My friends and family sprang into action immediately. My girlfriends organized rotations to come see me, cooked meals, cleaned our house, walked our dog, made herbal teas for me, and made sure I was never alone. My parents assembled the best oncology and orthopedic team they could find. My husband, on the other hand, shut down. When he wasn't at work, he scrolled through brain-rot Instagram reels. Whenever I tried to talk about my cancer, he either changed the subject or started crying, which meant I ended up comforting him. I kept making excuses for him, telling myself that people handle stress differently and that he was just scared of losing me. Before surgery, I was told to minimize movement to avoid damaging my leg further. I was hobbling around the house, still working, trying to stay positive. But even then, I had to ask him for everything. Unloading the dishwasher, taking out the trash, feeding or walking the dog, bringing me food. He would do these things if asked, don't get me wrong, but never proactively. Not once did he make himself tea and ask if I wanted one. The constant need to ask was exhausting and honestly painful, but I still kept excusing it. The day of the surgery, I was terrified. This was not a small procedure. They were literally removing my femur. He drove me to the hospital, checked me in, held my hand, told me he loved me. After surgery, I woke up in recovery, high on painkillers, my leg completely bandaged and immobilized. The nurses brought me some cookies and cheese as a snack. They then let my husband come in. He came, held my hand, asked how I was, told me he loved me, and then looked at my food and said, "Are you going to eat those?" "Because I'm starving." I was stunned. The nurse was stunned. I slowly said, "Go ahead," and he ate my hospital food. While I was lying there post-op, after having my femur removed and replaced with metal, that was the exact moment something in me snapped. I knew that this cannot be my partner. I spent the next 2 weeks in the hospital. My parents barely left my side. My friends created a schedule, so I was never alone. They even paid together for a private room. My husband came every other day or so, complaining about how tired he was from work and how long the drive was. I just nodded and smiled. When I was discharged, I went to my parents' house for recovery. I told them I wanted a divorce. After some difficult conversations, they accepted my decision. Today, I officially filed. When I told my husband, he cried, begged, swore he loved me, promised to change. But I feel completely empty toward him. I don't hate him. I don't think he's malicious. I think he's deeply self-absorbed, emotionally immature, and incapable of being the partner I need, especially in crisis. Now I'm 28, living with my parents, confined to a bed, facing months of physical rehab, and essentially relearning how to walk. I'm terrified, exhausted, and strangely relieved. I feel free, but also scared that I might be making a permanent decision during an emotionally intense time. Right now, I'm trying to understand what this means for my future and whether this marriage can realistically be repaired. I don't want validation about who is right or wrong. I want advice on how to evaluate whether a relationship that fails during a medical crisis can be rebuilt. I'm struggling with a few questions. Is this kind of emotional absence something people actually change, or is it a core compatibility issue? How do I distinguish between a partner who froze under stress and a partner who simply lacks empathy and initiative? If you've stayed or left after a partner failed you during illness, what helped you make that decision? What would real change even look like in a situation like this? I've already filed for divorce, but part of me wonders if I should pause and reassess, or if this clarity I feel is actually the answer. I'm not asking whether my husband is a bad person, but I also don't know how I'm supposed to continue building a life with someone like this. Too long did not read. I'm recovering from major cancer surgery and my husband was emotionally absent and self-focused throughout, including eating my hospital food while I was post-op. I've filed for divorce, but am questioning whether this marriage is beyond repair or if this was a stress response that could change. How do I evaluate whether to continue or end a relationship after a partner fails during a medical crisis? A therapist once told me, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. You feeling completely empty toward him speaks volumes. You're doing the right thing. Lean on your people, they clearly love you. Good luck and speedy recovery. To answer all of your questions, if you have to genuinely wonder if an individual lacks empathy to the point where you ask internet strangers, then I think you know your answer. I really hope for the best for you. Great job. I'm glad to read a post where someone is able to recognize when enough is enough and take the next steps with faltering back. You did the right thing. Extremely tired of my dad's girlfriend. Me 24M. Sister, 22F. My dad has been with his girlfriend for over 6 years now, and honestly, almost no one in the family can stand her anymore. That includes me, my sister, my dad's brother and sister, my uncle and aunt. Both grandparents, all my cousins, pretty much the entire extended family feels the same way. I moved out to live with my mom after she had been living with us for only about a year. My sister stayed longer, trying to hold things together and support dad, but eventually she left too. These days we only see her during occasional dinners at dad's place, or when the family goes to the summer house/vacation together. To add to it, her son, from her previous marriage, now spends every other week at my dad's house. When she first moved in, she left him full-time with her ex-husband, but it shifted to shared custody later. My uncle has told my dad multiple times, a good mother doesn't just leave her child behind like that. Everything always has to revolve around her. If she doesn't get exactly what she wants, she gets angry and snaps at my dad or my sister, or starts crying. She claims she's depressed because her mother is seriously ill and her father cheated on her mom, but before that situation blew up, she never mentioned her mother, never visited, never seemed to care. My dad looks more exhausted and unhappy every time we see him. My sister has tried multiple times to stay living at his place longer, mainly because she sees how much he needs company/help so he's not alone with her 24/7. Dad works long days, usually 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., then comes home and handles grocery shopping, cooking, laundry, basically everything. She was unemployed for about a year and spent her days on gym/yoga and beauty treatments. She contributes almost nothing to the household. He pays for literally everything, food, cars, vacations, clothes, you name it. And she still complains constantly. We've been to fine restaurants where she orders food and doesn't touch a bite. A few years ago on a big family vacation, grandparents, cousins, everyone. She complained so much about the hotel that our family left the others behind to switch to a new hotel. She's invited to every family event, birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, and almost never shows up. The family has given her chance after chance, and she keeps sabotaging it. She's a lawyer, so she's extremely skilled at twisting arguments. She always comes out looking like the victim or not at fault. She also barely eats anything and exercises 2 to 3 times a day, possible eating/exercise issues. Just recently my sister went on vacation with dad, his girlfriend, and her son. It got so bad that by the end, my sister was eating alone and hanging out on the beach by herself just for peace. Before this woman, our family was really close, regular dinners, frequent vacations with cousins/aunts/uncles. Now that barely happens. We only see each other on big occasions, and she's usually absent. The big question we all have, how can a hardworking, kind, generous guy like my dad stay with someone who creates constant drama, contributes almost nothing, makes him miserable, and has torn our family apart? It's reached the point where it feels like he has to choose. Us, his kids, extended family, or her. What should my sister and I do? How do we talk to him about this? Any advice? Too long did not read. Dad's girlfriend of 6+ years is manipulative, entitled, contributes nothing, and has isolated/damaged the whole family dynamic. Dad seems miserable and exhausted. Sister, and I feel like it's him choosing her over us/kids/family now. How to approach this without an ultimatum that could ruin everything? Sorry, English is a bit bad, so used AI to rewrite it a bit. You can't talk him out of this relationship. He's got to learn the hard way. Yep. Sounds like your dad is overworked and just doesn't want to deal with the drama of breaking up. Plus, one of my favorite quotes works here. With the absence of affection, Everything looks like love. Maybe your dad is afraid of being alone? Start by making a father and son, only dinner once a week/month. Show him how nice it is without her. Stop by his work during the day and have lunch. Without pushing this agenda. My husband, 48M, is a high-functioning addict. What do I do? My 38F, husband 48M, and I have been together for almost 8 years. During those 8 years, every month or two, sometimes more time, sometimes less, he has a day where he gets prescription stimulants, Vivons, or cocaine less recently, and goes completely non-responsive until I go and find him and intervene or he runs out. We own multiple properties, so he always has somewhere he can go to be undisturbed, and plenty of friends with access to the drugs. Sometimes I'm able to confirm his location with our security cameras, other times I'm not. Every time, he is ashamed and apologetic when he comes down and talks about how it won't happen again. I don't believe him anymore, but I don't know how to help him either. Until we were married, I just chalked it up to a bad habit. He just didn't want to give up, but we now have a baby. He was high the night I gave birth, and wasn't home when my water broke. He got high while I was on a business trip, and he was responsible for our baby. I was able to get my sister to help out in that scenario. It's clear now to me that this is truly an addiction, but I don't know where to start to get him help. I haven't told anyone, his family, my family, friends, about the problem because I didn't want to hurt his reputation, but it means I'm shouldering the burden of an unreliable partner alone. I've struggled because it's just infrequent and unpredictable enough, and he's a good responsible person when he isn't high. It never felt serious enough to leave him over, or threaten to, or take other extraordinary measures. I worry that if I don't he won't have any motivation to change. Too long did not read. I don't know where to start to get support for myself and my husband for an infrequent but serious addiction problem. He got high while I was on a business trip, and he was responsible for our baby. I was able to get my sister to help out in that scenario. When CPS takes your child away from you, will that be serious enough? There is a high likelihood he's doing it more often than that, and those are just the days he overdoes it. So you married a guy who used drugs, prescription, and cocaine, and you assumed it was just a bad habit. He refused to get rid of, and now you're worried he's an addict? He is, and this is something that doesn't end well. 30M. 30F, struggling with resentment and pressure after wife asked me not to attend my sister's wedding. My wife and I have been married for 3 years. She has long felt unwanted and excluded by my family. She believes they don't make enough effort with her, which leaves her feeling hurt, insecure, and isolated. From my perspective, there's a lot of unspoken expectation on both sides, and neither really reaches out in a consistent way. This has created a quiet but constant tension that I feel stuck in the middle of. My sister is getting married, and my wife is strongly against me attending. She sees it as a sign that my family wins, and that we as a couple are losing. It feels like everything is being framed as a competition or a rejection, rather than just a family event. While I understand her pain and want to support her, I also feel deeply uncomfortable being asked to miss an important milestone in my sister's life. I'm torn between wanting to be a supportive husband and wanting to maintain a relationship with my own family. I feel trapped, resentful, and emotionally exhausted, and I'm not sure how to navigate this without someone getting hurt. Too long did not read. My wife feels excluded by my family and now doesn't want me to attend my sister's wedding. I understand her pain, but feel it's unfair to be asked to miss it. I'm stuck between my marriage and my family and don't know what's reasonable. Was your wife not invited to the wedding? Do you think this tension is mostly coming from your wife's own projections? If so, how are you going to deal with this forever? If your wife was invited, she's being unreasonable asking you not to attend. Since she complains about being excluded, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to be included and participate?